So happening today, the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, will be sitting down with the Premier of Ontario and the Canadian Finance Minister. The focus very clearly the trade war. The tariffs already implemented, the tariffs that President Trump has teased are still to come on April 2nd. What would typically be a non-headline grabbing get-together between two allies is now a high-stakes face-to-face. Because Trump's with this meeting and this gathering today. And about the tariff whiplash that the world has witnessed in just the last few weeks, Donald Trump now has this to say.
I have the right to adjust. It's called flexibility. It's not called inconsistency. It's called flexibility. But there will be very little flexibility once we start. April 2nd is going to be a very big day for the United States of America. The United States of America is going to take back a lot of what was stolen from it by other countries.
Joining me right now is the former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, the former Minister of Finance, Chrystia Freeland. It's really good to have you here.
It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much for coming in. The president says it's flexibility. It's not inconsistency, this whiplash. What do you call it?
I call it inconsistent whiplash. And what I will say, Kate, is we've just been hearing about the inflation numbers and talking about there being a risk that with the trade war, inflation will go up. It's not a risk. It is a certainty. The Wall Street Journal is entirely right in saying a trade war between Canada and the United States is the dumbest thing ever. It is self-mutilating for the United States. You know, if the U.S. moves ahead with this trade war with Canada, groceries are going to be more expensive, energy is going to be more expensive, the stock market is going to continue to tank, and America will be pushed into a recession for no reason at all. You have a great relationship with us. You know, the relationship between Canada and the United States is balanced and mutually beneficial. It is governed by a trade deal that I negotiated, that President Trump himself said was the best trade deal ever. So this is so entirely pointless, and it's going to hurt Americans. It's going to hurt the people who voted for Donald Trump, because I don't think they voted to pay more for their groceries. I don't think they voted to pay more for their gas. I don't think they voted to lose their jobs, and that's what this is going to do.
They actually voted for him to do the exact opposite of that. I want to ask you about USMCA actually in a second, but we did just get the President Trump's latest take on the trade war, talking about the EU and talking about the 50% tariff that they're going to be implementing on American whiskey. The president now writes, if this tariff is not removed immediately, the U.S. will shortly place a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and other EU-represented countries. This will be great for the wine and champagne business in the United States. I just want to get your reaction to that, because it kind of encapsulates a little bit of what Donald Trump has said, made very clear, which this is reciprocal. You hit us, we hit you. And that's really what's coming April 2nd.
But it's not actually reciprocal, because you hit us first. And, you know, from the Canadian perspective, it is just utterly unacceptable. If you hit us, we will hit back. And something Americans need to understand about Canada is, like, I don't think Americans think about Canada all that much. That is fine with us. We don't mind. We are not narcissists. But when you do think about Canada, I think you kind of think we're really big and Canada is small. To a point, because the reality is Canada has leverage in this economic relationship. We are the largest export market for the United States by far. Canada is a more important export market for the U.S. than China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. And like, you guys are the country that invented the phrase, the customer is always right. Well, we're your biggest customer. And at first we were hurt by all of this, but now I would say Canadians are angry.
How far, so Mark Carney is about to be sworn in as Prime Minister. You know him well. Do you think he can handle Donald Trump?
100%.
Because he's
Mark is going to be a fantastic Prime Minister. He's the leader of my party. He has my full support. He is going to be terrific. And he has started off on a very, very good, clear note. He has said, you need to respect us. And I would say that is the view of all Canadians. You have to remember, Kate, that our sovereignty is now being challenged. And that is not acceptable for Canadians. Our sovereignty is not negotiable.
How would you describe how far Canada is ready and willing to take this if Donald Trump does not back down? He's shown no signs of it.
Canada will not escalate, but we will not back down. And that is the view of the entire country. We know that capitulation is not a negotiating strategy. We know that if someone bullies you, you have to stand strong. So I can assure you and all Americans, actually, we like you. We have had a win-win relationship for our entire history, and it would be great to get back to that. But if you hit us, we will hit back, and we will not treat our sovereignty as a joke, ever.
As you mentioned, you negotiated USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, with the first Trump administration. It earned you a lot of attention from Donald Trump himself. That was part of, I know when you were campaigning, that was part of your platform. Is an updated version of USMCA, do you think, a pathway out of this? And also, after negotiating that, can you believe that we are here today?
So I absolutely think trade agreements can always be updated and improved. The USMCA was an updated and improved NAFTA.
Right.
And actually, the USMCA, the agreement that currently governs our trade, has this unique quality that both Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump supported it. That's a pretty big deal. It governs a trading relationship that is balanced and mutually beneficial. For sure, you can always update agreements and make them even better. But I think the fundamental thing that Americans need to understand, and I'm talking about not the government, but the people watching, is your relationship with Canada, your economic relationship, it's good for you. The trade between our countries is balanced and mutually beneficial. The stuff you buy from us, you don't buy it out of the goodness of your heart. You buy our energy because you need it. I think you're from Indiana, right, Kate? Okay, so 80% of the potash that American farmers use, and that is fertilizer, you buy from us. You need that too. Uranium for your nuclear reactors, you buy that from us. So you need the stuff that you buy from us. It's good for you that you get it. There is no country that is a better friend and a more reliable ally than Canada. And at the same time, we're your biggest market. So I have to say, for us, we agree with the Wall Street Journal. This is a dumb trade war. It is utterly absurd. And we don't really understand why you would pick a fight with your best friend who has only ever been a really good partner to you. But if you keep on doing it, we'll just keep on hitting back.
I think we can say count 3, 2, 1 and see what President Trump is going to, how he will continue, how he's going to respond, and we'll see what happens. But I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. CNN's Alex Marquardt is in Canada for following the Secretary of State during his travels. He joins us now live. What are you hearing from there, Alex?
Well, Kate, there is a lot of confusion. There is a lot of frustration. I think this talk about a U.S.-led ceasefire for Ukraine is going to soften the landing for Secretary Rubio here, because that, of course, has widespread support from the Canadians and from the Europeans. But at the same time, you have the U.S. now putting tariffs and threatening more tariffs on a huge scale on both the Canadians and the Europeans, and that is really going to antagonize the meetings here. So we'll be looking to see what extent the allies go after Rubio and attack him for that, and certainly ask what on earth the U.S. is doing right now. And then on top of all that, Kate, Canada is hosting the G7, and of course the Trump administration, President Trump himself, has repeatedly talked about making Canada the 51st state in a way that has really, really angered top Canadian officials. The first meeting that Secretary Rubio had here this morning was with Canada's foreign minister, who is, of course, hosting this. And in just the past few days, she has talked about Trump's comments about Canada, both tariffs and the 51st state comments, as being a fundamental threat to her country. This is what she told our colleague Christiana Amanpour a few days ago. Take a listen.
We want to make sure that we defend who we are as a country. And we've been shown too much disrespect by the Trump administration at this point, calling us a 51st state, calling our prime minister governor. This is not only a personal issue between Prime Minister Trudeau and President Trump. It's way more than that. It is much more than just the political rhetoric. It is a fundamental threat.
And Kate, we asked Secretary Rubio on his way here what he expected, what he wanted to talk about, and he told reporters that this is not going to be a meeting about how we, the U.S., are going to take over Canada. The fact that a U.S. Secretary of State even has to say that, Kate, is just remarkable. These G7 summits, this is where the rubber meets the road. This kind of summit, the G7, NATO, other groups, they have been at the backbone of U.S. foreign policy for decades. The allies here want to talk about strengthening the alliance, and at the same time, the U.S. is talking about putting tariffs on key members of this alliance. And in fact, we've heard President Trump talk about welcoming Russia back into the G7, which it was kicked out of more than a decade ago. So, Kate, this could be a very rocky G7 foreign ministers meeting for Secretary of State Marco Rubio.